So you both are talking about how important it is to just keep the conversation going, keep communication going, which kind of brings us into our next section about talking about, ableism and how that's really affecting all these different areas, that you all have to interact with every day that's, integrated in your life. So if you could speak a little bit about that and kind of explain to some of our audience who may not be familiar with what ableism is.
I'll jump in. So yes, I have created a platform around disabling ableism. I did a TED talk on it a couple of years ago, and I was afraid to approach the conversation myself when I first started because it's uncomfortable. And ableism is another ism, right? And in our society, we are fearful of those. But to Dani's point, we need to start talking about these things, because how do we fix what we don't even know that is there? And ableism is something that in our global society, we are, even as disabled people, I am an internal ableist. I do it all the time. I have to check myself to correct myself all the time. And that is because it is ingrained in what we're taught about disability, it being bad. It's something that we need to fix, that, we can't, we won't, don't hire, don't love, don't befriend, don't adapt, ableism is the fear and the pity lens in which we see disability through. It is a discrimination or a social prejudice against people with disabilities based on the belief that typical abilities are superior. And it shows up in society with not being included in the DEI conversation, lack of accessibility, segregating children and adults, in society, in schools, in the workplace, failing to have proper accessibility, failing to open conversations and have these assumptions and language. There's so many layers of what it affects everything. It's not just the workplace, but it's plentiful in the workplace. It's everywhere in our society. It's what we perceive that people with disabilities, their abilities or what they're not able to do. And frankly, we don't know what somebody is able to do unless we allow them to tell us, right? Like, we cannot assume that we know things. And we put disability in this, I call it the kitchen sink theory. We lump us all together in one little kitchen sink, and we think, okay, we've taken care of that. But disability is the most diverse group of this entire diversity conversation, and it intersects with every other race, sex, orientation, all of it. It's a huge population of people that is very multifaceted and diverse. So ableism is ignoring all those people. And so I say we need to disable that. We need to disable ableism in our thinking and how we look at people with disabilities and all of it. So
Rachel, what was that stat that you gave us the other day about how most people, go ahead.
Are you talking about how many people are actually considered disabled?
And how many will be touched by it in their life?
Oh, so yeah, I'll share two statistics that were in the article that kind of prompted this earlier this spring. The first statistic is, according to standards, about 1 in 4 of us, or 26%, of individuals in America are considered in the disability range at this point. And then, I work in the senior care industry, and a statistic that we're working with right now is that at some point in your lifetime, 7 out of 10 of us is going to need some type of skilled nursing or long-term care. And there is a lot of mobility challenges that come with aging in place, and that is something that a lot of people aren't banking on, that one day 7 out of 10 of us are truly going to have mobility challenges, cognitive challenges, vision challenges, all these additional things. So, and that's only going to continue to raise as these larger populations begin to retire in place, like the baby boomers. So it's not only a problem for, I think a lot of people are very short-sighted, thinking that it's just affecting a very specialized small percentage of people. This is not only a problem for 1/4 of our country, but it's soon to be an even larger problem, as the largest generation that we have is going to retire, and we have to come up with care systems and infrastructure to support them.
And those are our parents and our grandparents, and everybody's going to have to probably take care of somebody at some point who has a mobility issue. So it's
Yeah.
fun.
On top of that, like the last few years, long COVID, mental health, all these like things that are happening in our society that are adding on to these numbers. And in that, disability is not actually the thing that separates us in our society. It's our common ground. And advocating for opportunities and policy and legislation benefits all of us as, to your point, we age or change over time.